South, which is being organized by Institute for Human Development in partnership with Niti Aayog, Government of India, and the Research Information System for Developing Countries, New Delhi. I am honored to see so many of you from 400 people over the course of 4 days will be participating in this conclave. More than 160 people from outside of India have joined us in this celebration of our 25 years and 40 years of RIS. They are all here. Thank you so much. I am Priyanka Tyagi, the Chief Executive Officer of Institute for Human Development. As I said yesterday, IHD is celebrating 25 years of its founding this year. The Silver Jubilee celebrations commenced on 25th January with the lecture from Professor Hajun Chang. Though we completed our 25 years in January this year, this is the 26th year, and this entire year we are celebrating with several public lectures, international events, and more coming till March 2024. To kickstart, to start off, here we are screening a short film on the Institute, which celebrates the journey of our 25 years, which also portrays the struggles, rather the achievements of Institute for Human Development. May I request the technical team to please play the film.
In the year 1990, an important shift occurred in the discourse and landscape of international development. With the publication of the first Human Development Report by the UNDP, the focus of discourse moved away from simply economic growth to something more profound: people. Thus, human development became the key measure for assessing the progress of nations.
Also around that time, Indian economy had opened up. The process of liberalization had started, and issues of employment and livelihood were being debated very clearly. Along with me, some other social scientists and economists also belonging to the Indian Society of Labour Economics, and we thought to set up this institute under the auspices of the Labour Economic Society.
IHD was formally registered on 15 January 1998 with Professor S.R. Hashim, late Professor T.S. Papola, late Professor Rudradat, late Professor Rohini Nayyar, and Professor Alak N. Sharma as co-founders. Many other illustrious economists continued to be closely associated with the Institute. The journey began in a single room at the IAMR in New Delhi.
I joined in April, so I joined in the month of July. So when I joined there, it was running. It was single room setup. There were 4 or 5 tables were there. 2 or 3 tables for the research staffs of various categories. One was for the finance, one was for the administration, and a small printer used to sit just next to the door. And everybody used to work, although there are a lot of disturbances around, but we never felt disturbed.
The first initiative was the publication of Labour, Employment and Industrial Relations in South Asia in 1998. Funded by the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung, it laid down the foundation for research based on livelihoods, labour and employment, and dissemination of knowledge. IHD's second landmark publication was Empowering Rural Labour in India, Market, State and Mobilization, edited by R. Radhakrishna and Alak N. Sharma. It was released in 1998 by the then President, Sri K. R. Narayanan. IHD formally started its research journey with the Bihar Longitudinal Survey, supported by ActionAid India.
First project was, incidentally, real survey of 36 villages in Bihar, which I had done research, gone to as a young faculty in AIMS Institute of Social Studies, Patna, in 1981, with J. Rogers and my guru, Pradhan Prasad.
The Bihar Longitudinal Survey was built on a study of 36 villages to examine the dynamics of poverty and employment in the state. And in 1999, soon after the creation of IHD, he resurveyed the same villages to explore whether any progress had been made. In 2009, we participated in a third round of data collection in the same villages. The project found improvements in housing, in women's status, and in education, and in particular that state programs were beginning to have a real impact at the local level, which had not been the case before.
IHD set up its Eastern Regional Center at Ranchi in 2007 to prioritize research activities in the backward eastern states, particularly Jharkhand, Bihar, Odisha and Chhattisgarh. The center continues to engage in analytical and policy-related studies related to the region.
We have worked on the issues of health, education, gender, forest rights, tribal issues, ethnographic issues.
The Eastern Regional Center of IHD is also engaged in action research projects.
The institute has gained reputation for its robust primary research based on large-scale surveys and in-depth fieldwork across regions in India. IHD has also proved its competence in cross-regional and multi-country comparative research in the Global South. More importantly, IHD's orientation of research brought its identity. Labor, employment, livelihoods and poverty remained at the core of its focus. It simultaneously responded to the emerging discourses and concerns such as global value chains, decent work, labor migration, social protection and inequality, and social inclusion. At the same time, IHD has also engaged with global discourse and development and has participated in the conversation around MDGs and SDGs. The research themes of the Institute have connected to human development issues. IHD, recognized by the Indian Council of Social Science Research, has undertaken over 400 research projects, orchestrated more than 300 seminars, workshops and conferences, both national and international, and contributed significantly to the intellectual discourse by publishing over 70 books, monographs, and numerous articles brought by faculty in reputed journals and working papers. The Institute is known for its networking and convening capabilities.
The networking and convening capabilities of our institute are proven through its academic events, the conferences, webinars, seminars, workshops, symposiums that it organizes, and the collaborations, fostering engagements with the policymakers, and also establishment of formidable networks in South Asia and the Global South. More importantly, these events are an occasion of camaraderie and sharing of knowledge and experiences, especially for young researchers.
I have been associated with ISD for many years. I have attended various conferences like India Labour Economics Conference and also conference and seminars organized by ISD. And also I was associated with ISD through its SARNET program, focusing on research on social protection and labour market.
This relationship with IHD opened a floodgate of opportunities in terms of collaborative research, but most importantly in forging valuable friendships that went beyond academics.
Two well-known peer-reviewed journals produced at IHD are seminal to human development and labor and employment discourse in India and globally.
The Indian Journal of Human Development has acquired distinct recognition for empirical and theoretical research on the themes of human development. The journal contributes to the development discourse, publishing critical research on the themes ranging from, let's say, looking at structural change and development.
The Institute's academic purview extends to specialized centers devoted to employment, gender and tribal development, data center on employment and livelihoods, and a Delhi chair on human development issues in Delhi.
Of Human Development founded the Center for Employment Studies in 2016 to take research in labor and employment to the next level. The idea was to provide a focal point within the institute for carrying out research, for disseminating, for policy interactions, and for networking.
The center was set up in memory of a dear friend and colleague and feminist economist called Preet Rastagi. The center conducts evidence-based research on gender issues. It highlights gender concerns and it disseminates information through publishing articles.
Gender norms is something which affects the entire society, and really it stops us from attaining gender equality in the society. So all our research is in these areas where we focus and we try to bring up evidence in order to inform the policymakers.
The center is engaged in promoting research on a wide range of subjects collected through its primary surveys, as well as important data sources like the NSS, NFHS, Annual Survey of Industry, and decennial population censuses.
What we are trying to do is develop some kind of a profile of Delhi in terms of where it should go. We've had a number of discussions with the Delhi government. We conducted very, very large surveys, unlike the national sample surveys, which are relatively much smaller. And they're fairly revealing surveys, and we have a number of observations to put forth for this.
IHD is now well known for its flagship research and policy documents. Apart from publications and knowledge creation, IHD has focused on capacity building of young researchers and practitioners. The Institute's rich academic ecosystem, characterized by the symbiosis between seasoned researchers and emerging scholars, signifies a commitment to cultivating knowledge. IHD's remarkable journey of 25 years would not be complete without the unwavering support from academic stalwarts who have been integral to the Institute's narrative.
Congratulations to IHDS for this anniversary. It was a great project when it was started in a world where people were mostly concerned with macro issues to focus on human development and labor markets.
What distinguishes for me the Institute of Human Development from other policy centers and research programs is its central focus on human development. The questions of employment, poverty, gender equality are the starting point and the end aim. They are not treated as byproducts of economic growth and economic performance analysis.
My hearty congratulations to the Institute for Human Development on completing 25 years of focused work on human development and labor markets. I delightfully recall contributing a paper on globalization and inequality.
I have known IHD for the last 25 years and have participated actively in its conferences, in its studies, and I have always admired IHD's commitment to bringing out issues of marginalized sections, of labor, of people who are weaker and being left behind.
It is the dynamism of IHD, engagement with India, with people, with intellectuals, with research, which has been a remarkable journey. So best wishes for the next 25 years.
IHD has emerged as a credible research organization and a policy think tank during last 25 years. In fact, Niti Aayog, most of central ministries and state government keenly look at engaging IHD to conduct studies for them and to address various research questions related to various dimensions of human development. IHD leadership and its team need to be congratulated for these wonderful achievements.
Congratulations to the Institute for Human Development for 25 years of highlighting employment, livelihoods, and other important areas of human development in India. It has been an honor and a privilege to work with Alak Sharma and his team over the years. Shabash Mubarak.
As IHD celebrates its Silver Jubilee year, it is a moment to thank our founders, our supporters, and faculty and staff who have made this journey so remarkable.
For a young institution that began life just 25 years ago, the reach and the impact of IHD is phenomenal. Indeed, for our small size, we pack a big punch. Thus, small can be and is beautiful. Yet, in the pursuit of excellence, we have miles to go in the journey to our destination.
And the journey continues.
On behalf of the Institute, I would also like to thank all those who have helped us. I am quite hopeful that this journey towards evidence-based research on human development, labor, and livelihood will continue towards making the world a better place to live.
Yes, we deserve a bigger clap. I mean, by watching the film, I got emotional. Thank you so much for all your blessings, your support, your networks, your partnerships, your friendships. This is the journey, and this is what here is what we are, celebrating 25 years of IHD. Now it is time to formally commence the opening session of this global conclave. May I invite on stage Dr. Sachin Chaturvedi, kindly grace the dais, Dr. Yogesh Suri, kindly grace the dais, Professor Deepak Nayyar, kindly grace the dais, sir, Dr. Pedro, Dr. Norbert Shadi, Professor Alaken Sharma, and Dr. Tanuka Endo, kindly grace the dais. Without much further ado, let us commence the proceedings of this session. I invite Professor Alaken Sharma, Professor and Director of Institute for Human Development and this Conclave Director, for his opening and welcome address.
One disclaimer, I have nothing to do with this film. I am seeing for the first time. So it is done by Priyanka. Friends, thanks very much to all of you for being here this morning, and warm welcome to you. The hall is full. Something surprising in Delhi in a cold winter at 9:30. So something remarkable achievement of ISD convening and attracting you peoples, all well-known people. As Priyanka said, it is our Silver Jubilee celebration, and of course this film captures our limited achievements and struggles that we made. When we started doing it, we thought our board, under the guidance of Professor Deepak Nayyar, many of our board members are there, Professor Hasim I can see, Ajit Ranade I can see, many people, Mahendra Dev, many people are here, Ravi Srivastava is here. We thought of organizing some lectures, Silver Jubilee lectures, and organizing some conferences. Some lectures we have done called Silver Jubilee lectures. Hajung Cheng, Sunita Narayan, then Indrameet Gill, Chief Economist of World Bank, Abhijit Banerjee, quite recently. Yesterday was Francis Ferreira. Thomas Pogge is giving on 13th, Kaushik Basu on 5th, then Deepak Nayyar on late February, George Reyes at Ranchi in early March. Then Rama Bijapurkar, she's a management expert, so we are having different kind of lectures during ISLE conference where it will conclude. So it will be 10 lectures. We are trying to have a dozen, 2 more. And Professor Deepak Nayyar has to help us. And we thought of organizing 3 conferences. 2 conferences, Future of Work, again Niti Aayog was a partner. We did in July. Many people, many of you were there. IL was a partner, major partner, not partner, Niti Aayog and ILO. And the other was Inclusive Urban Development in India, not Global South. And that was University of Florida and again Niti Aayog. But this 3rd conference we thought of on a wider topic. We felt that in this polarized world, let us take one topic which has the capability to bind people, bind scholars, debate objectively. That is why emphasizing Global South, but not between Global South, between North and South, and among Global South also, we thought of. And no institutions better than Niti Aayog and RIS could have been partners. RIS is also celebrating its 40 years, and our Sachin Chaturvedi is our also board member. So he immediately agreed, and that is why this conference, so Priyanka told you more than 400 people will be coming, will be joining, already joined. Some people are in the way, today will come. I think 60, not less than 60 countries will be represented. This is, I think, I feel humbled that so many people have come, so many of you have joined, and I'm not going to give any description and outline of the. I'm sorry for ISD performance below its capacity. For the first time, program has not been printed and given to you. For the first time, you will get a booklet, a book of abstract running into 400 pages. For the first time, it has not been printed on time. So I apologize. That is why this is below performance. But it's so much work, these lectures. Again, we are organizing in March, Indian Society of Labour Economics Conference. Again, many of you will come in Hyderabad. So we were overstressed, but even then, it is underperformance, for which I apologize. But really overwhelmed that so many people, so many of you are here, and I thank, you might have seen several appearances and disappearances in the program, particularly in the inaugural session. But thankful that for the conference, for the inaugural function, two very relevant persons for the conference. Pedro, I can't pronounce your other name. Let me try. Pedro Canseco, yeah, who is a key man in Human Development Report, which comes annually, globally. So he does it. I mean, he coordinates, does it, many people. So let's welcome him. And then Norbert study you again, sorry for wrong pronunciation, if any, Chief Economist, Human Development, World Bank, especially for this upcoming from this function. And World Bank, even DP has also given, but World Bank, this has been possible, I must tell, only because of the support of World Bank, very generous support. Both, yeah, I think they deserve, yes. Yes. And of course, other sponsors are there. I don't have the, I can, yes. So Niti Aayog, RIS are organizers. RIS has also given us some support, not bad, but not as World Bank. I see, sir, but thanks very much to ILO, which has been our partner since 25 years. And for this conference also, both intellectually, technically, Sher Berik and many other colleagues are here. They have given a lot of support. UNDP I mentioned. United Nations, we had a good dinner yesterday. Then in Wits University, Pro Vice Chancellor, our own Bolivia, is our partner, ISD partner for the last maybe 13 years or whatever, maybe years counting I might have made mistake, and his Center for Inequality Studies. He also participated and collaborated in the Future of Work conference. And also, he's a constant man in Indian Society of Labour Economics conferences. So that probably, Imran, this is also to ensure that you are in ISLE conference. So then UNICEF again, we are working them, and today's dinner, which all of you, I request you to attend. It is here in the evening. It is hosted by ISD and UNICEF. So with these words, I thank you again for being here on this cold winter, for giving your support to ISD, and thanks all our partners, promoters, everybody who are on the dais. Dr. Yogesh Suri has been from Niti Aayog, has been leading SDG vertical, and his division, Sharmista is sitting here. They have been providing me a lot of support. So thanks everybody.
Thank you, Professor Sharma. Now I invite Dr. Sachin Chaturvedi, Director General, Research and Information System for Developing Countries, New Delhi, to please address the gathering.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Priyanka, for inviting me, and a great pleasure for RIS to get this partnership with IHD, which we heard just now Professor Lakshya Sharma mentioning not very bad. So I think it's very good. I see this as a joint event of ISD, RIS, and Niti Aayog. It's a great pleasure for RIS to be part of a very different kind of focus that IHD has from RIS. As yesterday I mentioned, RIS is a think tank established in 1984 as part of India's commitment for Global South. This was commitment for non-aligned movement, which in the whole decade of 70s thought of having a think tank for the Global South. After the oil shock, developed countries placed a lot of energy in OECD, and developing countries, led by Julius Nyerere at that point, were grappling with this idea of having a think tank. It was in Algeria, then in Sri Lanka in 1979. Eventually, in 1983, when India hosted the NAM summit, the agreement came up, and the responsibility was given to the Trinity from India, which led it, who established Jawaharlal Nehru University, G. Patsarthi, Professor Sukhmoy Chakravarti, and Dr. Manmohan Singh himself was involved at that point, and three of them catalyzed by Professor Panchamukhi, who became the first Director General. Professor Deepak Nair also got involved. So those of you on the dais, of course, we have placed 2 volumes on RIS. One where people have contributed in terms of the volume 1, which talks about the rationale, the purpose, and genesis of the idea of Global South, contributing in terms of global development narrative setting, and also capturing the idea in terms of how global trade regime is addressing. So RIS is a think tank which is dedicated to the concept of international trade, and brings in focus in terms of how developing countries may achieve the idea of integration much faster than envisaged at some point immediately after the reconstruction process started. But as soon as RIS was established, we realized that mere focus on trade would not help. You need to dovetail that with the foreign direct investment. And then people like Dr. Nagesh and many others contributed. And then we started looking into trade and investment together. And very soon, within 5 to 7 years, the idea of technology was added. So this triangle was addressed, both technology, trade, and foreign direct investment, the interplay of the three, and the imperatives for the Global South. And it was also the phase when from GATT to WTO transition was happening, and intellectual property right was being added to trade, and that emergence of TRIPS. So all that RIS has contributed. The first volume that I just now mentioned talks about it. Little later, we have added finance to it, because finance plays far greater important role in terms of supporting trade, investment, of course, but technology. So now this, from triangle to quadrangle, we are now seeing these 4 issues together for the Global South. Yesterday, I mentioned about RIS establishing in the 40th year of our establishment a new center, which Prime Minister inaugurated on 17th of November at RIS. This is called the Global South Center of Excellence, where our job is to see how a new development narrative based on Southern experience with development dimensions of various different kinds may be collated and brought together in terms of a new analytical framework that is required. And what we have also done as we celebrate 40 years, Professor S.K. Mohanty is here from RIS. What we have done is to see in 40 years whatever research projects we have undertaken. And we just saw IHD's film. What we did was to cull out research methodologies that we have used. What research methodologies we have contributed in terms of interpreting trade data, in terms of development dynamics. So the second volume talks about conceptual and methodological contributions. So in 40 years, what kind of contributions we have made is something that we have collated together. The first volume also brings in, which is a direct link with this conceptual framework, is in terms of how our conceptual leaders have seen this. Professor Hashim is sitting here, who was very closely associated with the RIS governing board. Professor Deepak Nayyar, I already mentioned, Nagesh Kumar. So all these people have been contributing in terms of how issues are coming in, both for us to see, but also in terms of our dimensions of contribution. In this conference, my idea of partnering with IHD, as Professor Alak Sharma mentioned, I'm also on the board of IHD. But apart from that, RIS partnering with IHD, my idea was threefold. Our approach in the whole conference was to see how Global South may be analyzed in all different dimensions. Yesterday evening session was our first effort in this conference to contribute. There are 2 other sessions where we are contributing. Our idea is to see, and yesterday Professor Awad mentioned it very clearly, is to see how regional integration, cooperation within the Global South, which has hitherto been focused on trade, because that's the idea we have derived from dimensions of our engagement, how that can be turned from trade to production. And if production becomes our focus in regional integration, equation would change. The whole issue of migration, the whole issue of tariff barriers, the whole issue of convergence of standards, they can be very quickly addressed. And this would bring in a mega change in Global South. We heard yesterday the share of Global South in global exports stands at 47%. I also mentioned that the parts and components in the overall global trade dynamics stands at 72%. So from that perspective, you see a much larger scope for us to contribute. So I partnered with IHD. Niti Aayog, I'm glad, is here with us. And this partnership has given us opportunity to highlight value chains. And I'm so delighted that Professor Kimura is here with us. He would be giving a dinner talk and would also be participating in the session on value chains, where we are trying to analyze how this fragmentation of production structure is giving a new challenge to Ricardo's theory of comparative advantage. And that comparative advantage now is getting, at the disaggregated level, a far bigger opportunity for academics to contribute. And this, I think, is an opportunity for the Global South to bring out the development models that are there. In Professor Deepak Nayyar's book, some discussion is there, as I mentioned yesterday evening, while analyzing Gunnar Myrdal's idea of taking the dimensions forward, bringing in a real balance on our idea of demand and supply. The economic thought that has prevailed so far has focused more on supply-side economics. When we talk about demand, the structure changes, and that's where we want to bring attention of the Global South on the production network. So when we talk on production network, the idea comes in a major way, and we address the whole challenge in terms of how we go forward. The other idea I had, second idea of partnering with IHD, was to bring in various facets of development. And this is another distortion our economic thought has gone into after the Second World War, where the Chicago School prevailed, and we narrowed our ability to predict development trajectory with very limited parameters, and that requires a much larger focus. There's one full chapter that in Deepak Nayyar's book emerges, and that brings out the multidimensional component of development. And the process of bringing in various different facets are important. Economy is important, polity is important, but so is the history, culture, and society. And this is what yesterday's panel in the evening talked about in the Global South. So IHD-RIS partnership, I see from that multidimensional perspective to analyze how Global South is moving forward with these different facets. The third reason for me to partner and agree for RIS to support in whatever bad or dirty manner is in terms of addressing the larger dimension, both in terms of those who think talking about Global South is talking about poverty. But as has been said, poor people would remain poor because of poverty. I think this idea also requires some sort of revisiting from Global South perspective. And this conference brings forward the concept of human resources, which is the strength for any country and particularly for Global South. So IHD's work, as we saw in the film, captures that larger narrative based on primary data. RIS work is largely based on secondary data because of our focus on trade and investment, finance, and technology, for which secondary data is far more robust and clear in terms of how we look at. The other dimension that we are trying to see is this alternative development narrative, which is coming out of the G20 presidency India had, and Professor Sita Prabhu is here. We have a panel in this conference which is focusing on lifestyle for sustainable development. And this is to bring in all different debates which are there in terms of how we move forward from GDP-based estimations alone to well-being-based assessments. And the dimensions are far more interesting. Within that panel, there is also a presentation which would focus on ethics. And this takes me back to the multidimensional component of the development strategy, where of late at RIS, we have been trying to focus on the ethics part of development in terms of finance, and also in terms of how do we bring in access, equity, and inclusion in the development strategies. So with these three reasons, we partnered, and I'm looking forward for next 3 days for a very productive engagement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chaturvedi. In addition to the academic contribution that RIS has been given, a special mention goes out to RIS and the team for all the administrative and logistic support as well. Thank you very much. Okay, and now I would like to invite Dr. Yogesh Suri, Senior Advisor, Niti Aayog, Government of India, to please address the
respected Dr. Deepak Nayyar, Alak Sharma ji, Mr. Sachin Chaturvedi, Pedro, Norbert, and other dignitaries on the dais, and my dear colleagues, my dear friends sitting in the audience. At the outset, I would like to thank on behalf of the Government of India and congratulate ISD for organizing such a timely and a useful conference. And in fact, I also congratulate ISD for completing 25 years, and we just saw a very nostalgic movie, I can say, because I could see many things which were closely associated with Institute of Applied Manpower Research, which I happened to head till very recently, and also a lot of dignitaries which were closely associated with Planning Commission since I had joined Planning Commission in the year 2010. So this conference is very timely, and I'm so happy to note that about almost 60 country people are represented in this conference. In fact, the world is going through a very rough phase now. In fact, this is the G20 year, and Sachin has rightly indicated a lot of things which is happening in the global economy. And India is heading G20, headed the presidency of G20 this year. And a lot of things which are happening, both in terms of geopolitical tensions which is happening, and world was just trying to come out of COVID, but suddenly not a certain negative things which have started turning up. And the world is gradually slowing down. There is a problem of inflation, there's a problem of high interest rates, economies, and now employment is becoming another big problem all across the globe. And touchwood, and amongst all these somehow gloom and doom, India is emerging as a sweet spot. And from NITI, we have been bringing out this multi-dimensional poverty index. And I also made a presentation yesterday. I'm sure many of you were present yesterday, where we have tried to highlight how India has been performing compared to many other countries. In fact, Sabina was also there yesterday. And our recent report, which we have, in fact, the two issues we have brought out. The issue which we brought out very recently has clearly indicated about that 13.5 crore people have escaped the multidimensional poverty. And India's MPI, I'm glad to say, is one of the very, very important measures of human development indicators measurement. NITI has been taking a lot of initiatives. As many of you know, NITI is a successor institution of the Planning Commission. We were set up on 1st January 2015 when the new government came into being. And since then, we have taken a host of initiatives, and especially we try to work very closely with the state governments. In the area of sustainable development goals, NITI is the main coordinating organization of the Government of India, while Ministry of Statistics try to collate the data and try to work through various schemes. But NITI is the main coordinating agency which works very closely with the state governments as well as the central government and the central government different ministries. This year, 2024, is very crucial for India. As all of us know, there's going to be central elections this year. I think a lot of changes. We don't know what will happen in the election, but it's likely that many of the thrust which the government is taking are likely to continue. In terms of SDGs, a lot of things are happening. This is the midpoint of SDGs. In fact, a lot of concern was expressed in the G20 deliberations also. World is not doing very well in terms of SDGs. Almost 1/3 of the indicators have either regressed to 2015 level or even fallen below that. Only 15% of goals on track. And there is a need to rejuvenate our actions as to how to ensure that the SDGs are at least not till the 2030, at least maybe a few years down the line, but at least we are able to achieve most of the targets which worlds have committed themselves to. I'm happy that a lot of, I think we have a very august gathering here, and look forward to the inputs over the next discourse over the next 2 to 3 days. And I'll be very happy if you can send some notes in writing, and I request Alak Sharma ji to please compile all these deliberations into a form of a consolidated document with specific recommendations as to what you feel that Government of India should look at. And from NITI, we'll be too happy to go through all those recommendations and even work closely with the central ministries and the state governments and try to implement as many suggestions as possible. With these words, I congratulate you once again and thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yogesh Suri. Yes, the proceedings of the conference will be compiled and will be shared with everyone. I now invite Professor Deepak Nair, Chairman of the Institute for Human Development, Professor Emeritus Jawaharlal Nehru, New Delhi, and former Vice Chancellor of University of Delhi, to please deliver his special address.
Thank you, Priyanka. My colleagues on the podium, Alak Sharma, Sachin Chaturvedi, Yogesh Suri, Tanika Andao, our distinguished guests, Norbert Shady and Pedro Contisao. Okay. Colleagues and friends, let me begin by extending a warm welcome to you all who have traveled long distances from across the globe, and those who have traveled the vast geographical space of India to a chilly and polluted Delhi. You know what some of us who are citizens of this national capital and megacity live through. I would, at the outset, like to place on record our debt of gratitude to our co-organizers, to our partners, to our collaborators, and above all, to the participants and Team IHD, which has burnt the midnight oil for the past 3 months, for turning out this incredible global conference. We have assembled here this morning for the inaugural session or opening session of our 3-day conclave on the theme Advancing Human Development in the Global South. Over the past 3 decades, the idea of human development has exercised a profound influence on thinking about development. It has shifted the focus, even if just a little, from the conventional concerns of economics to the ordinary concerns of people in their daily lives. The essential message is that the well-being of humankind is the essence of meaningful development. This is also, I might say, the raison d'etre of the Institute for Human Development. The IHD, as you have seen in the film, was established 25 years ago. And our global conclave, of which you are part, is the culmination of our endeavor to celebrate its silver jubilee. Birthdays are a time for celebration. Birthdays are also a time for introspection. This conclave combines celebration with introspection. In this context, there is a difference between individuals and institutions. At 25, individuals are adults who have entered the world of work. At 25, institutions are young and are far from adulthood. For this reason, perhaps, individuals celebrate birthdays every year, while institutions celebrate landmark anniversaries at 25, 50, 75, or 100. We are small in size in terms of both human resources and financial resources. Our staff is less than 25 persons. Our budget is less than $1 million per annum. But our capacity to leverage and be a catalyst is high. With malice towards none, I'm reminded of Stephen Heimer's seminal